Hey guys, so a lot of you have been wondering how all of my mushroom experiments from last year turned out. If you haven't been here before, last year I started trying to grow mushrooms in a bunch of different ways in my garden, and as a complete novice at that, I wasn't entirely sure how all of it would go. So today I'm going to update you on how all of that went and what my plan is this year. Interestingly, I looked into joining a local mycology club because I just wanted to learn more about mushrooms in general and also go out on forays with people who actually knew what they were looking at, because there's only so much you can do as far as like identifying mushrooms with pictures and matching them online. There really is no substitute for a local guide who has seen those things in your area before. So I went to this meeting, and I just happened to have my first meeting be the day that they were talking about inoculating logs with mushrooms, and we got to do a little project, and each of us did our own little log, which was super fun, and I really enjoyed learning from somebody who has a lot of knowledge in that. One of the things I need to update you guys on are the logs that I did myself last year. These here are some oak logs that my dad cut down out of his yard, and I inoculated with lion's mane. Right now, as of right now, I have only seen fruiting on one of them. That is actual lion's mane. I have gotten some of these, which I am not entirely sure what they are. And I did get one little baby lion's mane off of these. I'll go ahead and put that clip here. But for the most part, I haven't really seen much of anything come off of these. I was pretty sure that they had colonized because you could see the mycelium through the wax on the ends. So it might still be true that they are colonized with lion's mane, but I still have not yet seen a bunch of fruiting to confirm that. Now, the thing with lion's mane and the risk that I took knowing is that I really should have sterilized those logs before inoculating them. Lion's mane can be a little bit more finicky about stuff like that, and I did not have the means to sterilize them, so I said, okay, I'm going to take this chance, I'm going to do it anyway, and just see what happens, and this is what has happened. Now, they might still fruit in the future, but at this point, I just don't really know. So this log that I inoculated with the group last night is inoculated with warm weather shiitake, and this is supposed to have a much easier time colonizing, be a little bit more vigorous, and because this log is fresh, it should be just fine. Although I did learn a new and different way that I can set this log up for success near my garden. The idea is going to be that I'm going to dig a small hole and kind of sit it upright in the hole, and just leave it there, and the log should be able to draw moisture from the soil. It's going to be under this tree near my garden, so it'll be very well shaded most of the time. And the speaker that we had last night mentioned that this is the way that she likes to do it. So I'm thinking that that might work out a little bit better for me. One of the things that could be going wrong with the lion's mane is just that they're not staying damp enough. I actually haven't put any effort into watering them because we do live in a very wet climate here in South Carolina. It's very humid, it rains a lot. I figured they'll probably be all right, especially in the shade where the sun's not beating down on them, but I might be wrong about that. And if I were to soak them or something like that, I might potentially be able to get them to fruit. Here's my log all buried. I think I went about 6 inches deep with that. And some of you might wonder about not waxing the end. According to the speaker last night, that is not a problem. I shouldn't have to do that, so all should be well. And I should see fruiting off of this next summer. With these mushroom logs, it takes time for them to colonize, for them to reach out and eat enough to feel like they're ready to fruit. And then from that point, they have to wait for the right temperature to fruit. So this will colonize in maybe 9-ish months, and then after that it has to wait around for summer temperatures again to really feel like fruiting. There's a chance that it colonizes really fast and it fruits before the end of the summer, but I would say that chance is probably kind of slim, so I would expect to see stuff off of that once it starts heating up, maybe next April. Now, one of the other major things I did was I did some mushrooms in the pathways and the beds of the garden itself. I tried to do oysters in the straw in the actual beds and wine cap mushrooms in the wood mulched pathways. Similar to the lion's mane, I did get 1 or 2 wine cap mushrooms, not really a whole lot. And my theory for why that is just the quality of the wood chips I'm using. I have absolutely no idea what the makeup of them is. My guess is that they're probably heavily leaning towards pine because we have a lot of pine in this area, and these are free wood chips that are trees that have been cut from other people's yards, picked up by the city and mulched and given back to the city. Not to mention the composition will be different every time I pick some up, and it's not even going to be homogenized, you know. So even like trying to grow mushrooms on this is already kind of tenuous. But I am always a proponent of if you don't try, it's definitely not going to work, so you might as well try. When it came to the oyster mushrooms in the straw, however, I didn't see anything at all come up. And my theory for that is I probably just didn't use enough straw. I was stretched pretty thin on it, and I bet I just didn't give it nearly enough straw to really colonize. So this year, what I'm doing is I added more wine cap mushroom spawn, denser in only one area with a bunch more mulch, and I'm hoping that having more spawn concentrated in an area will help make it more vigorous, but I don't know that for sure. I'm still just testing things out, right? And then lastly, I want to talk about the most successful mushroom endeavor I had, which was inoculating full bales of straw with oyster mushrooms. Last year I inoculated 2 bales of straw, one with white oyster mushrooms and one with golden oyster mushrooms, and I did not get any of the white oyster mushrooms. However, I got like a bajillion of the golden oyster mushrooms. They were beautiful and prolific, and my idea was that if I continued adding straw to that area, that I might get perpetual mushrooms, right? Because they just need food. But the thing that I am remembering now that we've been through the winter is that the golden oysters especially are sensitive to cold, and there's a really high chance that the mycelium died off over the winter because it was not protected in any way. So this bale of straw sitting behind me likely will not be colonized at all with mycelium because, again, golden oysters just likely aren't going to survive the winter in my area. What I could do is get some more spawn and go ahead and inoculate this bale with fresh spawn, and I think that would work really well. But what I was kind of hoping for was something a little bit more sustainable than buying spawn every year. So I might look into a different variety that can survive in straw and also overwinter in my area. Also, you can see right here, this is all that's left of the first bale of straw that the golden oysters were in. I had set this on top. I scooted it just yesterday to work on this trench, and when I moved the bale that was on top, I saw no evidence of mycelium, which is why I thought to think, oh yeah, this probably didn't survive the winter. I've been a little idiotic. Now, one of the reasons I'm telling you guys all of this and highlighting especially the failures is that hopefully you guys can learn something from me or from watching me try and learn by trial and error. Definitely learning by doing it yourself is a really good way to learn, but also I hope that watching me do that can give you guys maybe a little bit of a leg up when you start trying to do it. If you subscribe to my channel, you'll see that I post garden tours every single week, and if any mushrooms do come up, I do talk about those on the garden tours. So if you want like more regular little updates about anything that happens, you can go ahead and subscribe and watch for those garden tours. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, happy gardening.